Hi there, I'm Anna at BSAC, and I'm here talking with Ilia Gilligan about her work. I'll start with, can you tell us what your job title is and where you work?
Yes. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ilia Gilligan. I am the director at Heartworks Preschool in Burlington on Lake Street. Part of what my job is, I help train all of the teachers and get them set up in their classrooms. Along with the assistant director, we do the temperature checks every morning, which is new this year. So we do the temperature checks and the healthcare screenings every morning. And then I am responsible for payroll, scheduling, and subbing whenever I need to. It's a little bit about my job.
Thanks. Can you tell us a little bit more about your educational background and maybe career background and kind of how you came into this work?
Sure. So I went to Johnson State College, which is actually now Northern Vermont University, and I studied anthropology and sociology. But throughout college, I was working at Treasure's Daycare in Jeffersonville at Smuggler's Notch. And I've always really loved children. I'm the youngest of 5. I have 5 nieces and nephews, and I've always been very interested in early childhood education. So I kind of steered away from that a little bit in college and went more towards the social work route. I worked at Lund Family Center for a while, but that ended up being a little bit too much for me and my own mental health. So I started working at Heartworks in December of 2017. I started as an assistant in a 2-year-old classroom, and then the next year I was the lead teacher in a 1-year-old classroom. And then the last year I was also a lead teacher in a 1-year-old classroom, but our year got cut short because of stinky COVID. Mm-hmm. And then I was off for a couple of months over the summer, and then the director position at Heartworks in Burlington opened up. So I applied for that, and that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thanks. What are some of your favorite things about your work?
Oh, definitely the children. I love watching them grow and learn, and it's so much fun. We just expanded our age group here. So instead of starting at 2 years old, we're now starting at 17 months. So my hope is by next fall to get that down to 12 months so that we'll have 1-year-olds through pre-K. But it's so fun because since I'm not in a specific classroom, I get to know all the children in all of the classrooms. And it's just amazing seeing how far they've come, even being in school for just a month. They're doing a great job.
That's great. What are some of the biggest challenges of your work?
Some of the biggest challenges are when someone calls out. We don't have a whole lot of support right now, and one of our support teachers is currently a college student. So when someone calls out, I have to do a lot of restructuring of the schedule, and a lot of times I'll have to put myself into a classroom, mm-hmm. which is part of my job, of course. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the challenges. One of the other challenges, particularly during COVID, there's been a lot of parent concerns about safety and how we're protecting the children. So we have spoken with the parents. We have very open communication with parents. And because of COVID, the parents are no longer allowed to come into the building, which is very hard for a lot of parents, especially those that have been with Heartworks for a few years, because, parents like to be very involved, especially with their little children. So at the end of the day, we do have the teachers come out and they're able to talk to the parents so that they can still feel that kind of connection. But that's definitely one of the trickier parts right now.
Makes sense. Could you walk us through what a typical day might look like for you?
Sure. So when I arrive in the morning, I get all of the health check sheets ready. We have 25 questions we have to ask the parents. Mm-hmm. So I make sure all of the health checks are ready, and then each staff member has to take their temperature when they arrive. So I basically come in, put my things away, and get all of the paperwork ready. Mm-hmm. And then I usually open my computer, check my emails, and then I wait for the children to arrive and I do all the health checks. And then I make the break schedule for the afternoon. And inevitably something comes up where a teacher needs something, or they want me to come and help do a lesson with them or something of that sort. So I'm usually bopping around classrooms until about 11 o'clock. And then that's when I get to like really sit down and go through all of the emails. And then there's always paperwork to do. I have to make sure that the students' files are up to date and the staff files are up to date. We're still getting enrollment. I just had a phone call this morning, so I'm working on a lot of enrollment things and working with the other Heartworks directors on how parent-teacher conferences are going to look this year. So it's pretty busy. And then we do an afternoon round of health checks, well, temperatures at least, and then pickups start at 3:30. So from 3:30 until about 4:45, I'm usually shuffling between classrooms, helping children get to their parents.
Thanks. Great. What do you think would make someone a good fit for this kind of work?
Absolutely have to love children. I have worked with a lot of people throughout the years. I've been working in childcare for, 12 years now. And I've seen a lot of people that think they want to go into the field because they think it's an easy job. And I've worked at a lot of different places, and this is one of the hardest jobs I've ever had, but it's also the most rewarding. So I think initially you have to have a passion for children, a passion for teaching and learning, because this is a field that will always be growing and changing. There's always something new in the education field, especially early childhood education. So definitely have to love children. If you've got to be quick on your feet and have a lot of resources in your back pocket. And just to have fun. Like, it's such a fun job and it's such a fun time being with children. And it's nice that they still get to come to school and see each other, because we have some children that haven't had any social interaction for over 6 months. So it's really, really nice to see how the children are growing and being with each other. It's great.
That's great. If a middle or high school student is interested in this kind of work, is there anything you'd recommend that they do right now to explore it, like volunteer work or classes or projects at home or part-time jobs or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I think if they're in middle school, particularly if they started babysitting, I think that would be a really great start to kind of get a feel for how it works being responsible for someone's child, and if that's something that they would enjoy doing. High school students, absolutely try to get into some volunteer work. We used to accept volunteers. Now, because of COVID, we're unable to. But in normal circumstances, they could usually call a local early child care center, and they should be able to do like kind of like an internship type thing. I would also recommend taking a CPR and first aid class, because a lot of parents require that babysitters and nannies have that. There are also a lot of local agencies that look for babysitters. There's the Vermont Nanny Connection and care.com, and I think Sitter City, where you can create a profile on there and say exactly what kind of position you're looking for, and then parents can click on your profile and you can go from there. So that would be a great place to start.
And you mentioned CPR and first aid. Is there other sorts of education or training that a student might be thinking about down the road to help them succeed in this kind of work?
Yes. So there is a class through CCV Northern Lights called Basic Specialized Care, which is basically a class that teaches you how to care for a child. It teaches you how to appropriately hold a child. It has some like cognitive and behavioral things for early childhood education. So it's kind of like an intro course to like a child development class. So that would also be a great place to start.
That's great. Anything else you would want to share with students kind of about your work? Or
I absolutely love what I do. I have been working towards this since I was probably 25. I'm still in school. People think like once you get to be a director, you're done. You're at the top of your game, and that's really not what it is. It's like I said, it's an ever-changing field, and you really have to have this yearning to learn. And I love learning, and I love taking classes, and it's the most rewarding job I've ever had. It's great.
That's great. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.